What's up, everybody? This is one of my most requested videos to date. This one seems to be showing up in all of the comments because people want to know, how do you take apart this Infuze lid? How do you clean it? And what's the easiest way to do it? So I'm going to show you. I've made this video probably 3 or 4 times, and every time I do it, I seem to be getting better at reassembly and taking it apart. So at this point, I really wanted to share with you the easiest way to do it. It's going to save you a lot of trouble, a lot of effort, and when you put it back together, you're not going to have to worry about it leaking or it not being able to allow water through it. Don't worry, I'm going to show you step by step how to take this apart, how to clean it, and reassemble it in the easiest way possible and as quick as possible. If you need to slow it down, just pause the video, look over all of the parts, make sure you have them in the orientation that I'm going to show you, and then put it all back together, fill it up with water, put some flavor in, and test it out. You'll know right away if you did it wrong because you're not going to be able to get flavor out, you're not going to be able to get water out, or it's going to leak. So it's really simple. Don't get intimidated. First time I did it, it was difficult because I didn't know what I was doing. But at this point, I can do this probably blindfolded. But I want you to learn it. So the more you do it, the easier it's going to be, just like anything else. So let's go ahead over to my table. I'm going to take everything apart. I'm going to explain everything. And then I'm going to show you step by step how to take this apart, put it back together, and then enjoy your water with your flavoring in your flavor tank. If you haven't yet, check out my other videos in my Infuze playlist, top 5 tips, also the new starter kit unboxing that I just uploaded. But for now, let's head on over. Let's take a look at the lid, all the pieces inside, and how to put it back together. All right, so since this is gonna be a little messy, we're gonna need some paper towels. So make sure you get a couple. We're gonna put down like 3. These are cheapies, unfortunately. We're gonna kind of fold them up, kind of thicken them up. If you got fancy paper towels, you probably only need 1. You could fold it in half. But we're going to use this full sheet. We're going to lay out all the parts, and then that way we can take it apart. So we got our paper towels laid out. We've got our bottle, Phillips screwdriver. We're going to take this top screw out. Remember, there's still water inside of this spout and trapped inside of here, but there's also the vacuum holding the water here. Notice how the water is coming out since I cracked the valve for the flavoring, and then you can pour out any excess like that. We don't need the bottle anymore, so we'll move that aside. We don't need the straw, but we're going to sit that there. Remember, this top section, once we remove this flavor tank, will come right off. Just like that. So looking at this top section, we have the flavor selector. That's going to come right out as well. And if you want, you can remove this rubber gasket and this rubber piece here, but it's good enough to pull these just up out of the way, and you can clean underneath, run it in hot water, soak it. But this piece, we can set that aside as well. This is the main part that we really want to focus on. This is where the water mixes with the flavor. This is where the vacuum seal happens. We're going to end up with just a little bit of excess water in there now that we poured it all out. There's 2 screws. We're going to take those out. Remember, hand tighten. We don't need to tighten these down super tight when we put it back together. Otherwise, you can and possibly will break it. And these screws are a little bit longer than the one that holds the top down, so don't worry about mixing them up. Now you have this top piece where the fluid comes through before it finally goes into the spout. So make sure you set that aside, clean inside of there really well. This next piece just rests on top of the lid. The water comes through the straw, out through here, into this sandwich piece of rubber, plastic, and rubber. Goes through here, and then out the spout. So we're going to separate these, and we're going to pull this out, and this plunger right here is what moves in and out to allow the flavor into the top section and mixing with your water. There are 2 black O-rings on this side, and there's 2 white O-rings on the inside. If you want to get this thing nice and clean, make sure that you're grabbing these O-rings with the plunger, but be careful not to stab them and break them. Sometimes those O-rings will come out with the plunger, so don't worry. If they don't, it's normal. So this is what we're left with. the plastic piece, plunger. We've got 4 O-rings, 2 black, 2 white. We've got this gasket here. We've got this plate that also has a piece of rubber on both sides. So we're just gonna pull those apart. You'll notice the shape actually matches where they're gonna rest. So just keep that in mind as you're putting it back together. This one actually rests on top right there. So this is basically the exploded view of all the parts that have to do with your Infuze lid. I'm going to toss these in a bin of water. We're going to let them soak, and then we're going to use a pipe cleaner to get inside all the cracks and crevices, and then we're going to reassemble it. Now that I have my soapy water, I can put the straw in here, let that soak all of the rubber pieces. I'm not going to soak these two. I'm just going to clean those between my fingers, just so that way I don't lose them. Make sure that you get all of these pieces submerged, warm water. And then we're going to use the pipe cleaner to break everything loose. If you don't have a pipe cleaner, don't worry. You can use whatever you use to clean your dishes, but it's ideal to get inside of these crevices and cracks. Again, make sure you get underneath of this rubber gasket at the bottom of this spout as well. Now this bottom section, it is easier to clean from the underneath. When you try to go in through the top, it's a little tougher. So make sure you clean from the bottom. For this piece, I'll use the plunger, and I'm calling this the plunger, but I don't know what Infuze calls it. But this plunger piece, I use to push water through it, and it seems to clean it. Now, even though flavoring doesn't touch each and every piece, it's still good to get in all the cracks and crevices to avoid any buildup of mold, mildew, bacteria. You know, the typical stuff when you don't wash things. If this piece gets discolored, don't worry, that's natural. It's not dirty, it's not mold, it's just the rubber. And any kind of friction, it's kind of scarring it. So nothing to be too worried about. Next, you want to rinse all of this stuff off, because even though you've washed it, you can see this water's turned kind of dirty. You want to rinse all that stuff off. You don't want to drink all that. All right, dunk them in one more time. And we're just going to work out any of the soap or anything else that's on them. If you notice any of it starting to stain, it's probably because these flavors have such high concentrate of artificial coloring. But I've had this for a little over 2 months, probably 3 months at this point, and I haven't seen any staining, which is pretty cool. Now I'm going to go ahead and move these to a dry piece of paper towel just so we can see everything laid out, and then we're going to reassemble. Okay, right off the bat, there's some pieces we don't need yet, so we can set them aside. We don't need the flavor tank, because that's going to go in last. And we don't need the flavor selector. Same thing with the straw, so set that aside. Now you should be left with the base and all of the inner workings, including the screws. So we'll set the screws over here. Now we're going to go ahead and reassemble. Make sure you have all these parts before you continue, and make sure you at least have the 2 black O-rings on the end of this piece. Remember, you can stop this at any time, but please come back to this video, check out how to reassemble, and that way you can do this without any issues. Let's get started. We're going to start with this piece first. Remember, this one piece goes on here. That's this. So we're identifying pieces right now. Next, this piece only goes on one way. Just like that. There's a little notch. It only fits on there. Now you have this piece. There's a raised lip, goes right on top, and everything kind of rests in place, kind of like Legos. Now here's the hardest part. See how you have another opening right here? This notch is going to go there, and then you're going to sandwich this rubber piece through all of it. So the easiest way to do this, get it started, separate it, and then you're going to try and push one at a time. And once you get it through, you're going to have to push it through the next one. Now you'll know that you did this right when it rests inside of this plastic top and there's still a notch for you to be able to push through this piece. So now that we have that piece kind of sandwiched, we're now going to push through the plastic and through the rubber. And you'll know that's in place when everything kind of locks together. All right, now that that's poking through, we can attach this to the bottom section. And this piece rests between the tab and this pointy piece. So again, it only goes in one way. Now, this plunger, we want to make sure we put both of the O-rings on. You can slide those all the way to the back if you'd like. What I like to do, put them in the middle, and then that way they'll readjust as it goes in. So that's going to go right into this piece. And this tab is your flavor selector, so make sure that's up. If it's not, it won't go all the way in. Hard part's done. Now you just got to line up these two screws, and of course you have this flat section, and that's where it's going to go. You want to make sure that it's lined up with this notch. Okay, we can replace the screws. Remember, hand tighten. No need to crank down on these. Once you feel some resistance, stop screwing it in. And that's it. That's the hard part. Remember, this piece is actually going into this rubber gasket right here. You want to get your flavor selector. This little tab is going to face up, and we're just going to rest that in place. And good rule of thumb with these, in everything that you do, turn the flavoring to off. Now when you're filling up your ice water or your regular water, if you're cleaning it, if you're changing out your flavor tank, always make sure that the flavor's off. That's how we're going to reassemble it. Flavor's off. We're going to line up this piece with the back of the spout. So it's going to go on. And one way to cheat, you can see through where the tank goes in. So you can see right when it butts up with that rubber gasket. Time for one more screw, and we're ready to put the straw and the flavor tank back in. See how I'm not putting any pressure and it is kicking? That's it. That's all you need. You don't want to crack this plastic because then you're going to have leaks. Not just from air, but from water. Reattach our straw, flavor tank. And if you have any gaps, check out my other video on how to fix that. We have a clean, complete lid, disassemble, reassemble, and ready to drink. All right, y'all, hopefully that helped a lot. If it didn't, please go back, watch it again, pause it wherever you need to, go edit at your own pace. Don't worry, it's gonna take a couple of tries, but then you're gonna be able to get it no problem. So when you get to that point, make sure that you drop a comment, make sure you like, and of course, share and subscribe. Drop some comments down below. Let me know if you thought that was helpful, if it was easy. If it's still not easy enough, maybe there's something I need to break down a little further, just let me know so that way I can add that to my next video. But for now, thanks for watching. I'm Carlos. This is my channel, Just Ask Carlos, and I will definitely see y'all on the next one.